Hi, this is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Welcome back. And it's turning out to be a beautiful summer now. It's gardening time. I have a new adventure this year, having acquired a little community garden plot. So I'm kind of excited. If you have some gardening tips for me, that would be very helpful. I really know nothing about gardening, and my channel is not about gardening, but it might be now that I have a little garden plot for the summer. And I'm kind of in between a rock and a hard place, no pun intended, with my garden, because I'm at an awkward moment. It's June, middle of June, and I'm kind of like late to the game. I can still put some things in the ground, but I'm a little more limited in that sense. And of course, when I do something, I'm a little nerdy about it, so I'm gonna send out for a soil sample at a lab and make sure I do everything right, and probably just do some tomatoes and peppers. Really no big deal. Maybe some cucumbers, just to get things going, and then we'll kind of see what happens. But just came back from Seattle for a very short trip. Drove back in a day to check out Monty Alexander. Great Monty Alexander. Caught two of his shows. Got his birthday show on a Thursday night, and then got another show up on a Saturday night. Got a piece of birthday cake. Now, for those of you who don't know Monty Alexander, one of my favorites, and really a bona fide living legend, and was playing up at Jazz Alley, which is probably my favorite place to hear music, really. Not to mention, as a sidebar for those art fans, fantastic exhibit at the Seattle Art Museum, Alexander Calder exhibit. I'm kind of amazed that a lot of people don't know who he is, but definitely worth finding out about. Probably most famous for his mobiles, those little hanging things that babies play with, which was not his intention to be associated with that, but okay. They were described to me by I met this wonderful woman up there who was doing a guided tour, and was describing his mobiles as volume without mass. That was the scientific term. He did have a background in mechanical engineering, and it did come from a long line of sculptors, believe it or not. So kind of jumping all around today with my lesson. But the thing about Monty Alexander, which is very unusual, is that he's from Jamaica. He's very proud about that. And a lot of his music that he plays, he incorporates reggae music in jazz, which almost no one really does. I mean, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about that, because there's some fun tunes, some fun patterns, some fun music theory to learn along with that. And so there's a Bob Marley tune. Woman No Cry. You guys know that tune? Cool chords, right? Very kind of a churchy sound, but the reggae, the offbeat. A lot of times when Monty's playing, also he'll kind of, as he's playing the tune, he'll cross hands, kind of play the melody down here, then go back up. But let's just take a look at those chords, because they're very useful chords. C, G, A minor, F, C, F, and you could do a couple things. C, D, minor, C, or F. Probably wouldn't do F minor. That kind of sounds right. F, C, G, C. But you can, so here's the trick. Here's the basic trick to get it to sound like, I'm looking around for my magic marker, here we go. To make it sound kind of cool, you use inversions. So I'll show you what I mean by that. This is where the term is voice leading, right? So a voice is a note in the chord, and to lead them, meaning to tell them where to go, to guide them. And so the chord is C, G, A minor, F, G, and then F, C, and then maybe here we could do a couple of different things. D minor possibly, or we could do that G7, da da dee dee dee, bum, and then we'll do it again. C, and then F, C. Let's just do it like this for now. G, C. All right. What makes it sound interesting is that the bass of the bass line, you have this scale in the bass. So how do you get it to do that? Well, what you do is rather than playing a G in a root position, right, you play it in an inversion. So G, B, D. If I take the G and move it up here, that's still a G chord, but now the B is the lowest note. And that is how you express the chord, G/B. That's first inversion. Root position, first inversion, and if I wanted to keep going, right, second inversion, chord up there. How would I write that in Roman numbers? Well, 1, because we're in the key of C. G is 5 in the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And because we're in first inversion, the figured bass is 5, 6. That's how you express it. So why 5, 6? Because this is an interval of a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's why you do it. You write that Arabic number in the lower right-hand corner. Maybe let's make that just a little bit more legible. Okay, 5. You're never going to see figured bass in a piece of sheet music. You might see Roman numbers possibly, but you definitely see it in music theory books for sure. And then the A minor, well, you got the root right there, F. Now C, it doesn't go back to C. See, it would sound kind of boring. That's kind of boring. But if you do this, then you have second inversion. C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E. There's your second inversion. Okay, that is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 1. What are we doing here? This is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So the way you would express that is 1, 6, 4. Okay, that's second inversion. It almost behaves in some ways like a 5 chord. Our 1 chord, that's our tonic, right? That's our tonic chord. Our 5 chord is our dominant, and that's our dominant chord. But it functions in a similar way, so it goes. Now, what am I doing here? I'm just going back to the C with this tension. A minor, F major. Now here's your C. That's just your second inversion. Now F, going down, first inversion. D, da. There's your first inversion chord. That's 1, 6. This is 4. Okay. Now you could do this. That's kind of a cool voicing, or even that. if you leave the third out, it sounds little games you can play, but let's just say G7, 5, and then 1. Now, there's other possibilities. You could go D minor. D minor would function as well. D minor would be the 2 chord. And that's a G chord. The way I voice that, I have a F major chord, F/G. That's called a slash chord. And it looks different than an inversion. How do I know that this is not an inversion? Well, very simple. There is a B in a G chord. There is no G in an F chord. And you just kind of have to know that. But that is a shorthand version of writing a chord. This is the 7th, this is the 9th, this is 11. That's a shorthand way of writing G11. And it's kind of a nice, not only a nice way to write it, but it's more descriptive because it tells you kind of how to voice it. You have this triad on top and the root. So I could go up. That's a nice voicing, and I'm incorporating the D. Now here's another slash chord where we can kind of split the baby in half. D minor over G. Okay, so here's a D minor triad. Here's the D up here, and then the G in the bass. Right, that kind of works. And what is that? That's a short way of saying G9, right? The A is the 9th. If I write G11, typically we're assuming that the 9th is already in there, that the lower notes are in there, the 9th and the 7th. So that's that version there. A little different. But notice the overlap. You know, there is kind of a gray area, if I could use that term, between the 4 chord. The 4 chord is called the subdominant, right? That's the subdominant, tonic, subdominant, and dominant. There's a lot of common tones between these chords. What's that sound? It's kind of a pentatonic sound. Right, it's these notes. But down here, and the blues, there's a major pentatonic, and there's a minor pentatonic. That's possible. Minor pentatonic, major, minor. So if I wanted the major pentatonic, starting up here, right? If I take, it's kind of an inversion of that as well. But sometimes he'll go into another tune. He'll go into get up, stand up, stand up for your rights. And he'll do get up, stand up for your rights. That's a kind of a cool way to voice that minor chord in fourths. And then go back into the major. Now, then what he'll do is he'll take the whole tune, he'll take this whole tune, and he'll transpose it. So he'll go and then I'll go up again. And then I'll go back to C. So that pattern, kind of transposed, is pretty interesting. I'm going to kind of rewrite it just in Roman numbers, so you can get used to that. And if you're not acquainted with using Roman numbers, here's your chance, because they're really useful. 1, 1, 5, 6, 4, and hash marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could think of it in 2 also. 1, 2, 1, 2, done, 2, on, 2. Probably more useful to think of it in 2 than 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 6, because that's A minor, right? That's the relative minor. Pretty common for a song to go from a major to the relative minor. So in this case, we're in the key of C, and you're going to A minor, right? 1, 5, 5, 6, pardon me. 1, 6 chord, 4. And then 1 again, and then you have 1, 6, 4. And then 4, 1, 5, 1, 1, 1, 2, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 1, and 2, and bum, 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 bum. Those would probably be all eighth notes. 1 and 2 and again we have our inversion here. What did I say this was? Yeah. Five, 7, and you could even say sus, maybe suspension, sus 4. That's a suspension though, so it's not really a sus chord. The other way again was D minor, or kind of splitting the difference. Right. But if you and sometimes he'll do certain modifications to that chord pattern as well. He'll go what is that? That's like a minor 6. It's a F minor 6. It's a 4/6, A flat. I'll do that. That's pretty. So the 4 chord ends up being minor, Sometimes it's just a minor 6. You could also eventually, rather than calling it F, you could call it A flat major. That's flat 6. All right, I'll get back to that in a minute. That's very interesting. He'll do this. He'll do and then he'll do what was that? That's starting with the flat 3, flat 6, flat 2, flat 5, and then getting back to 1 again. Kind of basic stuff that we learn as kids. You know, our 1 4 5s, 1 4 5 1 1 4 1 4 1 4 1 4 1 4 1 4 4. Right? It's a big cycle that you can kind of do. Say the same similar notes in this minor chord as in the A flat. Flat 6, flat 7, 1. That's a possibility. Sometimes they call that a Hollywood cadence. When people do the national anthem and they do it in really bad taste. I mean, it's really an impossible. If you ever have to sing the national anthem, just you know, resign yourself to the fact that it's an impossibility to do it correctly, unless someone actually lets you do all the stanzas properly. But that's a whole nother discussion. But sometimes they'll do, you know, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I mean, that's another possibility. So you can take these simple tunes, I mean, they're not easy, but they are kind of simple. They're basic patterns, diatonic patterns in the key of C, 1 5 4 5 1 essentially, but with this voice leading, knowing how to do the inversions of the chords. And so how do you practice that? Well, you start out slowly, right? And there's plenty of scale books around that have these chord patterns in them. I mean, there's no shortage of those for sure. You know, if you're a musician, you have to kind of know how to do that. Right, 1 4 1 5 1 C F C G C. Root position, second inversion. Root position, first inversion, and then you can do that again, and then again. You know, you really have to. So you start root position, first inversion, second inversion, and you do those 1 4 5 patterns. And then you go to the minor key, the relative minor, A minor, 1 4 1 5 1. Okay. Now, interesting enough, last little thing about reggae, and I'll let you go. In almost there's a lot of reggae tunes that are in minor keys. And stand up for your rights. Right. What did I do there? I played the dominant chord, the minor chord. I play the dominant chord as minor, which is weird because usually you hear major, C minor, F minor, G major. That's usually in reggae. You don't hear the 5 chord as major. You hear it as minor, C minor, F minor, G minor. why is that? How is that even possible? Well, because you're not really playing you're not using the harmonic minor scale. Usually when we're playing in a minor key, we're using the harmonic minor scale, the artificial scale, the raised seventh, and that's not true in the 5 or C minor, F major, G minor, C minor. That's a possibility. Because that really is that's a Dorian mode, and this is a Aeolian mode, the natural minor. That's kind of interesting. One of the few areas where you really do literally play in a natural minor key, possibly. Okay. Anyway, I think we're kind of out of time today, but I wanted to share that with you, and depending on where you are in the world, go online, because Monty Alexander's on tour right now, and I will also be back at my little perch up at Marco's restaurant in Multnomah Village every first Friday of the month. I wasn't able to be there this week because I was preoccupied, but I will be there this week if you're around. And I may even do a recording of it and put it online so you can listen to it. So anyway, drop me a line. This is Jonathan at The Piano Lesson. Pleasure as always, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. And don't forget those gardening tips. I'm serious. I need some gardening help, please. Okay? Thanks.